Hey there guys, and welcome to another Factorio map slash base tour. I'm Xterminator, and thank you for joining me today. And today we're going over a pretty interesting map. This is Netra's map. They are a very common viewer and longtime member in my community and stream. And they sent me this. This is, as you can probably tell, a modded map. I don't do these very often, but it sounded quite different at the very least. So I thought it would be interesting to go over, and they asked me to look at it. So we're going to take a look here. This is using Krastorio 2, which I did do a playthrough of myself. This is on a much grander scale than my playthrough. And a few notes. First off, just as a pure disclaimer, they did use creative mode to build the factory because one key aspect to this is there actually is no mining. Due to there being no mining happening in this map, they actually just they had to build everything with creative. However, the factory does not need creative to run, so they're not just like spawning resources from creative chests. I turned the mod off. The factory is still running. I just want to put that there as a disclaimer that that was used. So it's using Krastorio. It's using, if we take a look here, it's using Squeak Through, Max Rate Calculator, Fluid Must Flow, FNEI, which just helps you find recipes, Factorio Planner, and even distribution. And as you can see, the map is quite interesting. Now, there's some things here that are going to drive people crazy, like these tilted builds that are driving me crazy at the moment. I'm gonna be quite honest. These drive me absolutely nuts. They add character, though, for sure. And I would just like to know. I don't know if this was on purpose. I don't know if this contraption is purely to kill me. I don't know if this is some sort of PAX train system. But when I logged in, I ran downwards and didn't realize my speed, and very nearly got myself killed by this horrific death trap of trains here. So looking at this, I did look at this. And it looks like they all just have a bit of an interesting path of stations here. They seem to all just be zipping around the outside of the base. So, and there's obviously no cargo wagons. So my guess is this is some sort of pack system. Passenger access here where you can just hop on and will take you around the entirety of the base. And you're probably wondering, what the heck are all these? So as I mentioned, get away from that's a little loud. There are no miners on this map. There's no mining. There's no ore. As you may be able to see, there's no ore. Period. There literally is none. There are of course spiders, but there is no ore on this map. And the reason that's the reason this can be done without ore is with Krastorio or Krastorio 2. So what Krastorio 2 does is it allows you to generate matter, which is a modded Krastorio 2 recipe, and from that matter you can then turn that into the resources you would need. So they're like copper production, iron production, oil production, and we'll look at those closer. But what these fields are, there's several ways to create matter in Krastorio 2. So I don't want to get too into the mod, but just for anyone who doesn't really know much about the mod, if we search here for matter, so in terms of making matter, I think it actually doesn't show in here. It's been a little bit since I've done this. So with matter, you can make matter from like wood. You can make matter from ore if you want. Obviously there is no ore in this map though. So what they're doing is they're making huge, massive amounts of matter from wood, and that's what all of this is. So the mod adds greenhouses, which just generate wood for you very slowly. It requires some water and power, of course, but then it will just grow wood. And what's happening is they have these systems here. These have these greenhouses that are generating the wood, outputting the wood, and then the wood is being turned into matter down here. So we have these matter plants, and this takes the wood. You can see the recipe icon here is actually very descriptive. Turns wood into matter, and this matter is basically a liquid. So this liquid is being pumped out into a large storage tank, again a modded storage tank, and sent into these underground pipes. It's using Singularity Beacons, which again is a modded Krastorio 2 item, as well as a normal beacon, so it's actually doubling up, which is kind of crazy. This thing is nuts, man. Crafting, it's boosted by 2,050%, taking 718 megawatts of power by itself. We'll have to look at the power here in a minute. So this matter is then piped. Again, this is all just wood being turned into matter. That's what this is. This is fields of wood being turned into matter. Reminds me of the Matrix, where they're just harvesting the human energy. So this is all brought down. There's like these aqueduct things. I don't think they're actually called aqueducts. Let me see if I can find one here. These things, they're ducts. So these are just like super high throughput pipes in the mod, and they're basically like two pipes. You can kind of see the running lines there. And this is all brought over. There's duct endpoint intakes. This is kind of just like a pump, it seems like. And it's all brought over and loaded here. These are massive tanks, 200,000 a piece, and they're storing the matter, which is then being picked up by trains. And this is where things really start getting serious. So they're picked up by trains. There's many trains that come to these stations, and then they go to areas they need to go to. So this one, for example, picks up here and then drives over to here and drops off at oil. So if we go here, open this location in the map, and we look, this is dropping off matter, right, which is then being pumped into more storage tanks and then pumped and turned into oil. So let's actually see if we can, oh dear, this is going to be a death trap, but let's see if we can get over here. Luckily, I'm very quick with the modded power armor here. We're just going to run over here. We'll take a look at this stuff here in a minute. But let's just run up to this oil, very polluted water, of course, and now we can actually look at this recipe. So you can see how quickly this is moving, and this takes 6 matter and turns it into 100 crude oil. I mean, you can imagine that's a lot of crude oil based on how much matter is here, and, you know, the refineries are just cranking through. This is pretty much a normal, this is just advanced oil processing. The numbers maybe change a little bit. The Singularity Beacon, so these things, these are interesting. If we take a look here, Singularity Beacon, so these guys, I think, just transmit more of their, you can see distribution efficiency is 0.75 opposed to the 0.5, so they're just a bit more effective, you know, 50% more effective than a normal beacon. And then you can combine them with normal beacons as well. They are smaller. So you can make things insanely fast. And then, of course, if you put productivity in here as well, things get pretty nuts. But there's no, to my knowledge, there's no higher level modules, or at least not that's being used here that I can find. So this is all vanilla modules. They are using the modded beacons, but it's not like, you know, like tier 15 Bob's Mods modules or something like that. These are all modded. So let's really quick take a look at power. This is using 103 gigawatts of power, and this is being all generated by a lot. This is being generated by 316 antimatter reactors, and these are very expensive, guys. These are insanely expensive. Now, I'm going to try to find, looks like there's more matter production here, potentially. Try to find the power setup. I'm actually not entirely sure where they put that. It would be a pretty large thing. Is it up here? It's probably here. Oh, yeah. So it's really loud, but it's a nice glow. So this takes this antimatter stuff here, this matter, and these things here, basically, and it sends them, they're actually these things, charged antimatter fuel cells, and it takes these, and each one of these generates 3 gigawatts of power. So these are, you know, very powerful generators. There's also some steam turbines here for some fission power as well, fusion power. You can see these guys are here. It looks like they're not really in use. Maybe it's a backup system. Here we go, these fusion reactors. This is kind of a lower level power than the antimatter. These generate, well, the turbines. It works like nuclear. The turbines generate power 100 megawatts apiece. And yeah, so let's take a look at the other areas of the main production. So over here we have iron. which is, let's actually go take a look at this. Let's get out of the kind of pipe maze here and try not to die. I don't know, maybe I can survive a full hit from trains with this. So this is taking enriched iron and generating iron. So enriched iron is basically just a higher level of iron, which you can get through a certain amount of processes, so just avoid that. Here we go. So much like the oil, we're taking the matter and it's being turned into ore, just pure iron ore. And that's being sent up on this huge belt system and sent into here to then be turned into... So it's going so fast, it's like breaking the sound. But it's being turned into enriched iron. So 9 iron ore goes into enriched iron. I'm going to walk away from that because it's kind of driving me a little bit nuts, the sound. And, you know, I'm not going to necessarily go through every single item because most of this is modded, and some of this I don't really even, I didn't make it in my playthrough, so I can't really provide much thought on it. But so there's iron, and then copper is very much the same thing. Copper ore is being made from matter here, and then brought up to turn into enriched copper, and then brought over and turned into plate. So this is what I thought was interesting, because the fact they're doing no mining, they're basically generating all the resources they need just from mass wood production, which is an interesting concept. I do think vanilla could stand to have more uses for wood, not necessarily to this extent, but I think that this does kind of bring up, you know, a thought that maybe wood could be a bit more useful in vanilla. And then we just have some smaller production areas here. We have, this is basically science areas, so these are like equivalent to the yellow high-tech science packs. They're chips in this mod here. So we have red, green, basically military, chemical, production, utility. You know, and again, they're just chips instead of cards. The recipes are slightly different, but not that much. This one is very much the same, mostly, except for the addition of the base tech cards here. So very similar overall science recipes to vanilla. And then we have some labs here. So these are the Singularity labs that consume these high-level science packs and then do research. Currently researching weapon speed, damage, 26. So this is a bit insane. This one alone is 750,000 science packs, basically. Looks like they're up to robot speed 14. This, if they research this, would be 15. Mining productivity is obviously, that is one that normally in vanilla would be very highly researched. But here it's not, because of course they're not doing mining at all. So it'd be a waste. Lots of damage stuff. Like I said, biters are on. I don't know if they're on peaceful or not. I would imagine they are. Maybe not. Oh no. Oh, we have these. Oh, okay. Let's go take a look at these. I always like weaponry in the game, especially modded. Oh, geez, stuff. Oh man. So basically, this looks like the Krastorio 2 version of artillery. These massive laser artillery turrets. In fact, if we turn on turret range, okay, so these are, you can see, this is a fantastic demonstration. You can see the little laser bolts here. They basically just get evaporated. I think this is brilliant. I love it. Why don't we go aggro these guys down here? So this confirms it is not on peaceful mode. Now I do have some laser defenses and stuff. They're pretty pathetic against these guys, but the laser artillery is pretty ridiculous. Pretty insane. So this is how they're keeping the biters back. And such like that. That's why they are researching so much military researches. We have some battery production here. Again, a lot of this is modded. I do like that they're kind of sharing the belts here and doing some splitter magic to get this to work on these very fast belts. It's actually pretty fascinating to watch. It's doing some nice belt tricks here. So they're producing sulfuric acid and then turning it into batteries, which are then being belted very far. These are extremely long underground belts. Where they're being belted over here, which is then loaded into a train. And it looks like we have a massive train yard here. So this is something I wanted to look at next. let's actually run up. Well, we can maybe look at this through the map. So I love trains. Nice. Interesting little like loop junction system here. Looks like they're using pretty much entirely, if not 100%, 1-4 trains, except for the little pack system I showed at the beginning there. And this is just a train waiting yard. Now, they're not using an actual train manager mod. It looks like they are, to some degree, doing something with circuits that is sending trains or sending train contents to the network. So if we read this, you can, if we look at this, you can see the contents changing there. And this comes over, and it's just reading these. I think this is probably just saying, so if we like click on this train, for example, yeah, it's basically saying like you can come or go based on, you know, when X thing, this is where it's at right now, is 1. So it's reading that from the circuit network based on other contents. This is basically just a huge waiting area, is what it seems like here. And I must say, it's pretty magnificent. It's very, very nice to look at. Normally for like megabases, I prefer bigger trains, but I think in this case, the shorter trains actually work and look quite nice here. Now, granted, they are modded. Well, they're actually not modded. They have, oh no, they're actually not even using modded fuel. I thought they would be for sure. Well, they are modded a little bit. They're nuclear locomotives, so they look basically the same. They are modded, so they're faster, you know, but still, I think it's a very nice system. You can see some basic tech cards here, some mixed ores here, some immersite, I believe is what this is, which is mined typically, although, okay, again, they're not doing mining. Some liquids, a matter train here, very important train. And if we go, so yeah, this is the power generation, these crooked builds, driving me a little bit nuts. And then, again, these are the reactors. These look like they're either just off completely or as a backup purely. This guy up here is, if we look for this, this is the immersion plate. So this is used in quite a bit of stuff. It's using like these gear wheels, which you need. It's using these beams that you need, and stuff like that. So, you know, again, and this used directly in this. It's using these control units, which are somewhere. I'm not finding them, but they're in here somewhere. Here we go. So these are very important. They have a very large production of these. Luckily, they can be productivityed. And overall, I think this is a really neat map. Now, again, modded is not for everyone. If you don't know the mod, this probably is kind of confusing, maybe not super interesting. I think the base design is quite interesting. The fact that, well, one, these crooked built, I mean, surely that has to be on purpose, right? While it does annoy me and will annoy a lot of you, I think it does add a lot of character. It makes it very interesting to look at. Until you focus on it too much. I really love this train yard. So just putting aside for a second the fact that it is modded, there are a lot of really cool things with this map. This train yard is very, very cool. This, you know, the trains are modded, but the train yard and the functionality of it is not a modded thing. So like this is something that you could and would find in a vanilla base. These junctions are pretty interesting. This whole basically entirely interconnected train network, it looks like, is interesting. It's really actually quite fascinating just to watch the trains. It's one of my favorite part in megabases. And then this, I'm pretty sure this is a pack system of some sort. I really don't see any other use for it besides that. You know, it's not really even like these don't need like ammo refills or anything. So that would be my guess, unless it's some sort of biter defense. To smash biters maybe is their last resort. That's entirely possible, actually. I didn't really consider that because normally it's more than one locomotive, but with these modded ones, they may be enough to kill biters. That could be what it is, and then they're just turning around. It could be both. I mean, really, it could function as both, honestly. So that could certainly be the case. But I mean, honestly, the biters are almost getting here, so that certainly is possible. That's what it could be. This is really fascinating to watch. I love just seeing the bugs like be vaporized. Try to watch this again. I don't believe there's modded biters either. It is something worth noting. So there's modded weaponry, but there's not modded biters. But yeah, so the builds are interesting. In terms of just like the modded side of it, the fact that they're purely just just insane amount of wood production turned into matter, and then they're getting their primary resources from that, I think is a really interesting concept. That they just say, you know what, I'm not gonna do mining. I'm just gonna do this, and basically just forego mining completely. And I think that's an interesting way to go about it. And that is one thing that's cool about modded things, is you can do that if you want. Obviously in vanilla that's just not possible. You can't proceed in the game without miners. But in mods like this, if you want to, you can do that. As crazy as it may seem, you can certainly do that. And that's what I thought was really interesting. Look at the X. Here's some science production, or sorry, well, this is part of science stuff. And let's look at production. I know that's always interesting. Now, again, keeping in mind this is modded, things will be probably a lot higher than you'd be used to, just because, we have the Singularity Beacons and all that. But if we take a look at like the 1 minute graph, it doesn't move around as much. So, obviously wood making over 500,000 a minute, unsurprisingly, which this is actually impressive because greenhouses are really slow, guys. Like, that's why they have so many and why that number is impressive. The greenhouses are very, very slow. They craft wood, they're very, very slow to craft wood. In fact, I'm going to see if I can maybe walk over here. Just take a look for you. I might die getting over here. Like, this is how slow they are, guys. It's a 60-second craft time. And I don't know if you can beacon these. If you can, they chose not to. I feel like you can't, because otherwise I imagine they would have. But, so making this much is insane. And that's also why there's so much physical things of it. 100,000 copper plate a minute, nothing to scoff at, especially considering there's no mining going on. Bit less iron. It is very copper heavy. Fair bit of circuits. This is I believe they said this is like I want to say 1.7, like over 1,000 science packs a minute. I'm trying to find, these are matter tech cards. I don't know if they're actually using those actively. So like utility, it's definitely over 1,000, you can see here. 800 a minute, well, 140 a minute. So it looks like it varies a bit, but overall, I think this is a pretty neat base. Okay, I've broken it. But yeah, so the just the general concept of it, I think, is really neat. They say it's about 1.2k science per minute. Lots of spaghetti, lots of trains. There are lots of trains on this map. And let's just look at the all-time production. So over 1 billion wood, unsurprisingly. 100 million sand, 100 million copper plate. Really, almost only half that of iron. 60 million plastic. I mean, there's nothing to scoff at. If we look at the game time, this is not that long of a save. But, this is not like the map I showed last time, which was thousands of hours of playtime. This is 5 days. That is not long at all, guys. That's like a little over 100 hours, I think. I mean, we could just take a look. It's 121 hours. So that amount of production, 121 hours, is pretty significant, if I'm being honest. So there we go. I think that mostly covers the stuff in the base. Like I said, we didn't look at every single recipe. I mean, we have blue circuits here. Again, the recipe for these, the recipe for the blue circuits, if I can find them, is a little bit different. It requires rare material or metals instead of the electronic circuits. It does require acid and advanced circuits, of course. But yeah, oh my lord. Okay, well, we didn't look at this. So this is the super long inserter in Krastorio 2. This does have modded inserters. I never got into them myself. We have superior, long spear filter, superior long filter, superior inserter. So these are very long, very fast, presumably a very high stack size. See if I can maybe run over there really quick to close this one out, because I'm very interested in taking a look here. This concrete design is also quite interesting. Am I? Okay, I'm close. So stack size of 12 is actually only what it is, but they are pretty dang fast, very long reach going into these medium containers, which are just very big chests. And yeah, I think this is a pretty interesting base. I don't know if this is like their starting area of matter production, or just used for something else entirely, because this is obviously very separate from this. And there's a few of them scattered about. Very cool though. This is actually, this looks like some sort of art piece when you just zoom out and ignore this part. This is just the main base here. But I think that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed. And you know, like I said, modded, not for everybody, but I think it's a very interesting base, very interesting design concepts, even just if you put aside the fact that it's modded, even just vanilla-wise, like the trains and all that is very cool. If anyone does have like some super, you know, very cool or big or just unique factory they'd like me to look at, definitely let me know. Discord would be the best way to contact me, and I love doing these base tours. I do prefer to stay away from modded just because, you know, modded isn't for everyone. Vanilla just is much more understandable and caters to everyone better. But of course I do take exceptions, such as here. And I believe that's going to do it. I'm going to end this out because I've never actually used one of these myself. A antimatter rocket. I may just die. These seem kind of ridiculous, but we're going to give it a shot. Yeah, I'm going to die. Okay, that was satisfying. Extremely. Whoo, man. Okay, that's a good ending. I think that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, a like is appreciated. I would love to hear your thoughts below in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe to keep up with all the content. And apparently I'm faster than trains, which is pretty cool, on concrete at least. But that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.